Hey everyone, I hope you're well. Today I want to talk about some of the features in Apex Legends that have actually been removed, because it's surprising to think about how much the game has actually changed, and whilst that usually means new added features, sometimes features are just completely removed, maybe for balancing reasons, or perhaps people just aren't enjoying that kind of content. So depending on when you first started playing Apex, there may have been a lot of things you missed out on, and this video I just want to share some of these things because for me, these features are where I've made some of my most favorite memories. So it might be interesting for you if you're a new player, or kind of like nostalgic if you're an old player. So let's jump into it. Now, the first feature I want to talk about, and the one that I personally missed the most, is the PvE quest. Now, this was added in Season 5, and then in Season 6 it was replaced with the comic. The quest was this system where each week you'd get a new weekly mission to go on, where you'd go and fight prowlers in this strange shadow universe. The reason for this in the lore was that you were collecting pieces of this artifact. You'd take it back to the main menu, and then you'd have the story progress where the legends would interact with each other, and the way the story was presented was, for me personally, better than the comic. There was more text, more involvement, more dialogue, and whilst it wasn't as nice to look at, it just read so much better to me. And obviously the quest itself was a bit boring at times. It was pretty basic PvE content, but it was pretty fun. I think that it was too much of a time sink and not enough people actually enjoyed it enough for them to repeat it, so they decided to make a comic for the Lorehounds instead. To me, the ending of the quest was just amazing. It gave me goosebumps and it really created an amazing sort of feeling waiting for the next season. The comics nowadays don't really do that for me. Next up we have the Select Fire. Now, the Select Fire was a hop-up that may come back in the future if the Prowler is taken out of the care package. The Select Fire basically allows you to select fire on some weapons that don't have it by default, so you can turn the Prowler from burst into full auto. Now, the interesting thing is this Select Fire actually gave the Havoc a unique feature that is no longer available. It may come in the future again, but we don't know. You could change it from being full auto or single shot, and when in single shot it would use a lot of ammo and it would charge up and do a massive beam shot that was hit scan. It would do a lot of damage. It wasn't quite like the charge rifle where it would do damage as it was charging up, so it was harder to use, and I think because the charge rifle was added it didn't really make sense to have it as well. Funnily enough, people hardly ever used it, and when you did hear it you were quite surprised. Another hop-up that was removed and is probably never coming back is the Precision Choke. This allows you to reduce the spread of a weapon when you zoom in. It was available for the Triple Take and the Peacekeeper. The Peacekeeper is now a care package weapon, and the Triple Take has that feature built in now as a bit of a buff for it. They could add it back if the Peacekeeper comes out of the care package, but as we've seen in the past, the devs really don't want to saturate the loot pool too much, so it seems a bit strange to add a hop up for one single weapon. The next thing was sort of like a bug, but also a feature that they have sort of acknowledged, and that is bunny hop healing. In the past you could bunny hop and heal at full speed, and it was removed so that when you bunny hop now, you can't really bunny hop and heal at the same time unless you're playing Octane or have a movement speed buff such as Bloodhound's Ultimate. It was very fun, but I do agree that it was kind of overpowered, and I do think that it's better without it in the game. Another movement mechanic that was removed was infinite zipline jumping. Now, at the moment, you can only jump on a zipline 3 times and then you fall off it. In the past, you could just keep jumping forever, and it was a lot of fun. You could do some crazy stuff with it, and in my opinion, it's kind of a shame that it was gone. It was one of those weird movement mechanics that you could really get good at. Now here's another feature that I miss and I really wish would come back. It only came out in one season. That is season challenge badges. Now we get a bunch of kind of easy to do challenge badges for limited time modes, but these season challenge badges in season 1 were so difficult that it really felt like a challenge to unlock them. They'd have 5 tiers, and if you unlock the 5th tier, you would get a special animated badge. It would give something for people to do that didn't play ranked mode. The hardest one was to get 50 wins on 7 different legends throughout the season. There were a bunch of different badges like this, but in season 2 they disappeared and were never added again. Now here's a feature you may not have remembered, but you used to be able to put AR, assault rifle optics, on SMGs. Now it's a bit strange to think why they would let you put AR optics on your SMG in the first place, but once it's a feature, it's even stranger to think that they'd remove it. And the reason for it is because they wanted SMGs to feel like SMGs instead of long range weapons, and one of the reasons why it was removed was because of a very powerful hop-up that's probably never coming back. That is the Disrupt Around hop-up. It was like the hammer point, but instead of doing extra damage to non-shielded opponents, it would do extra damage to shielded opponents. It was available for the RE45 and the Alternator, and it made the Alternator an absolute beam machine. Even after 2 nerfs, the disruptor rounds were still so powerful. It completely overtook the meta, everyone was using it, and it just was so strong. As soon as Season 2 ended, the disruptor hop-up was removed, and unlike every other hop-up in the game, which has either been around for multiple seasons or been removed and added back, the disruptor hop-up has never come back, and I think it's because it's just too powerful. Next, here's a feature that may come back, but we don't really know. It's the Kings Canyon loot bunkers. In Season 5 to Season 7, there were loot bunkers in Kings Canyon that you could open up to get special loot. There are also some crypto lore logs in there, which are pretty interesting, but in Season 8 they've all been filled up, and that's mainly to balance the loot out on the map. We've got the grenade vaults now, so the loot bunkers were special because you are guaranteed golden weapons inside, but on the flip side, the grenade bunkers have more weapons and overall more loot to go across for the whole team, which I think is better for balancing. The next feature is permanent dive trails for ranked rewards. Now you can still get dive trails if you rank up to diamond or higher in ranked, but they only last for 1 season and then you have to rank up again to get it the next season. But if you were lucky enough to get one of these permanent dive trails back in Season 2, then you still get those dive trails now and they'll never be removed from your account. Now, another feature that is sort of a feature that's been removed are exclusive skins. Now, when I say sort of removed, there are still exclusive skins that are added to the store each week. There are 2 different skins each week, but they have been the same skins that we've seen in the past. There haven't been any new ones. Now, back in the day, back in Season 1, 2, and 3, I think even Season 4, every week there would be 2 new skins. But I think that it's been it feels like almost a year since we've actually seen a new skin in the store. We just keep getting returning ones, some of which are just really bad Kraber recolors. I would love to see new recolors again, because I feel like the recolors themselves aren't really that hard to create as far as I understand it. Definitely easier to create than like a full-blown epic or legendary skin, right? So I'd really love to see more recolors. It would be kind of exciting to see what there was in the store each week. And of course, give us something to spend all those legend tokens on. But yeah, it's really strange. In fact, I think that a lot of people have found a bunch of recolors in the game files that haven't been added to the store. So I don't really know what's going on there, and I really hope that they do kind of add some new ones in the future. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. Finally, limited time modes. They're a feature that were removed. Instead of having limited time modes now, we have takeover modes. There's a small difference. Takeover modes replaced the main game mode, whilst limited time modes were available alongside the main game mode. Now, there's some pros and cons to this. The pros of the takeover mode is that if you live in a region with a small amount of players, you can always find a game pretty quickly. But the pros of the limited time mode was that if you got bored of playing the limited time mode, you could go back to playing the normal mode. Obviously, this is a new feature that the devs want to test out, and in the future, limited time modes could come back, but we'll have to see. Alright, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that this video was interesting. Are there any other features that have been removed in Apex Legends that you would like to see back? Let me know. I'll see you in the comments. Cheerio!